And at this table, I am joined by First Deputy Craig Straw, and immediately behind me are other members of my executive team: Andrew Richmond, Chief of Staff; Valerie Robinson, Chair of the Corporate and Tax Group; Diana Cortez, Chair of the Litigation Group; Clay Cawley, Chair of our Social Services Group; Evilise Crespo, Director of Professional Development, Diversity, and Inclusion; and Steve Ludovico, Director of Administration, who did a tremendous job of preparing our budget submission that you have before you. Several of our unit chiefs are here as well, and I want to thank the entire law department for continuously providing high-quality representation to our city government and making us the best law firm in the city. As you said, you have copies of my written testimony already, and also you have a copy of our first ever year in review document for 2018. And unless you object, I will incorporate that testimony by reference, and we'll just make a few brief remarks. From a financial perspective, our fiscal year 20 general fund budget totals $16,085,045, an increase of only $18,949 over fiscal year 19 estimated obligation levels. The increase is primarily due to union pay increases. And on the performance side, we have achieved a number of successes over the past fiscal year, many of which have received national attention. We successfully defended the Philadelphia beverage tax. That's how we started our year in the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. We defended our welcoming city policies against the Trump administration in both a federal trial and on appeal. And on Monday of this week, we secured a favorable ruling in a religious liberty challenge to city laws and policies that prohibit discrimination against same-sex couples seeking to be foster parents. And there are many more victories, but too many to count. And throughout the year, we have also served as legal counsel in all of the city's major commercial and real estate transactions and approved the many contracts and agreements that are critical to the city's operations. We've also worked with the Revenue Department on tax collection matters, including helping Revenue to decrease the principal of delinquent real estate tax by 37% since 2013. We've also added additional resources to our child welfare unit to help our client DHS achieve greater permanency for children, and worked with this body to craft legislation. And we expect to use our 2020 budget to continue providing high-quality legal counsel to the city, its officials, and employees. And I am happy to now take any questions you may have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Pratt. And I have to add to your at least success so far. I know it's still ongoing, the wage theft law, which obviously I have a little interest in, since
Yes.
that was my law, or my bill that got passed. And I know you have a lot of high-priced opposition there against you, and so far things have worked, I think, pretty well. So again, thank you.
I appreciate that.
Thanks for everybody that is working on it, and your other successes. I think it shows a lot of the competency of both you and the other assistancy solicitors, that you have been doing so well in some of these, because they are very important cases,
Yeah.
obviously, and
there's a tremendous amount of work that goes on behind the scenes.
Right.
And I have members of our staff who worked on that case here today. Jane Isfan, who was the master of the briefs, is here. So we appreciate the recognition. We really do.
Okay, sure. No, I think my opinion is well deserved. Let me just ask a couple of questions. I know the council president had. I think he will be here soon. In your testimony, you showed that the average caseload per worker is 158 in FY19. Off
Yes.
the top, that sounds high. How does this compare to either other law departments in other municipalities, or also to the private sector?
Yeah, I think what's driving that are the caseloads in two units. First, our tort litigation unit, which handles personal injury and property damage claims, but primarily our child welfare unit, where the volume is pretty significant. It's not unusual for an attorney in that unit to have several hundred cases on his or her caseload.
700.
Yes.
Wow.
And I do think, I don't have the stats in front of me, but I do think that is abnormally high for the type of work that those attorneys are doing. And we have tried to abate the problem a little bit. We've added additional attorneys to that unit over the course of the past 2 years. So I think that has helped with the caseload a little bit.
Okay.
But I can certainly say we will need more resources in the near future.
And resources, I assume, means money, right?
Yes.
More money in the department?
Yes.
Okay. It's interesting you particularly bring up child welfare, because it was just raised with me earlier today. about sometimes how long it takes for some of these cases, and is that sort of the problem sometimes? That because the solicitor has so many cases that sometimes they get continued, they're not ready, that kind of thing? Because we've heard that kind of concern raised.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily attributable to our caseload. I think the system overall is heavily burdened, and I think that has increased or resulted in the reasons why the timeline isn't where we think it should be. But I think we have done a great job of helping DHS get children to permanency faster, and I think that bears out in the numbers.
Mm-hmm. No, I understand. Also, I see in your testimony you show 337 filled positions, but only 183 budgeted. Is that correct, or could that be maybe a typo?
Yeah, I think that might be 183 budgeted for our general fund, for the general fund money that the law department controls. We also have positions that are funded by other departments. So, for example, our tax lawyers are funded by revenue, child welfare lawyers are funded by DHS, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Also, in your testimony, your contract participation for FY19 is listed as NA. Is that?
Could you direct me to what?
It's testimony on page 7. Your testimony on page 7. Yeah. I'm reading the council president's question here. Yeah, on. If you're looking at page 7.
Oh yeah, that's because those are quarterly calculations, and
they're what? I'm sorry.
Yeah, those are quarterly calculations, and I think we only do the year-end numbers.
Okay. All right. Okay. In your testimony, you show a target of 70% claims percent cost to risk assessment. What? Can you explain that measure?
Yeah, sure. So whenever we have a case, there is a risk assessment number put on it in terms of the amount of liability the city could see as a result of that case. And so when we either settle a case or get it dismissed, we measure that number against the risk assessment number. And so the idea is to get that number, as low as possible, because you want the number to come in lower than what you thought the case was actually going to settle or result in a judgment for.
All right, I appreciate that. All right. The good thing is, obviously, a lot of people don't have a great concern about what your department is doing.
I think that's a good thing. I think that means we're doing a good job.
Right, exactly. Hold 1 second.
Sure.
Okay, Ms. Pratt, I appreciate you coming. I appreciate your whole
Okay,
team coming here. Just one caveat here. There always is a time that you could be asked for a callback. So
sure.
I'm
happy to
prepared
come
for
back.
that if you could.
Okay.
But again, I appreciate all what your department is doing. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Yeah, okay. All right.